Reports are swirling that the U.S. government dumped a bunch of their Bitcoin. My God, is this the end? Well, we're going to take a look at the accusations, the data that we have sat on for some time. As of now, it's been very, very important to clarify what's going on with the U.S. government and their Bitcoin. A large stack in question, 200,000 Bitcoin. Where the hell is it? We're going to take a look at that. We're also going to not crash out as we watch the reveal of the evil Democrat plan of total control. Literally happening on the House debate for right now. I'm listening to Sherman talk. I'm listening to Lynch talk. I'm listening to Maxine Waters talk. And my God, they are making me damn near crash out with the hypocrisy, the I'm better than you aura that they are putting out there on the stage right now on the House floor. This is absolutely insane. History is about to be written. Is it going to be written in the terms of total control and using crypto for evil? Or are we going to rise above it, stop the CBDC centralized on and off switch control that the governments just salivate to have over our buying power here as day-to-day people? The time is now. This is going to be decided. Welcome to the show, everybody. I got my man Isaac with me, hanging out.
What's
I'm
up?
watching the stuff. I got it going on in the background right now. The House floor is meeting. I'll share this tab. And this is Sherman talking about crypto. And I know we can't hear. Let's turn it up.
Have a digital dollar or even a study of a digital dollar. You're not allowed to, if you don't want to carry a lot of paper around, you can't have the full faith and credit of the United States. Now, we've talked about the role of the U.S. dollar and the critical role that it plays in international transactions and why that is a major economic benefit to the United States. The crypto bros occasionally tell you out loud what they're thinking. And that is they want to minimize and destroy the role of the U.S. dollar internationally. So what do they do to hobble the dollar? They say the Chinese Communist Party can have a digital yuan. The Bitcoin bros can have a digital currency. But
see, this is so insane. He's using the opposite argument that they were just using a few minutes ago. I was listening earlier, and they're talking about if China's doing it, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we keeping up with all the other CBDCs that are being developed around the world? And now he's flip-flopping and going to the other side. This is just absolute insanity. What's going on right now
is limited to 7076 technology. Our banking system is the envy of the world because we innovate. This bill says no innovation. It tells, I'll ask for another minute.
This guy, I can't stand it. And then there's Maxine Waters.
Ew!
Mrs. Raisin Brand herself.
Time has expired.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I'm sorry, just a minute for the gentleman, Mr. Sherman.
This one. Look at that look.
He's so old.
The look of pure evil. All right. Now, these conversations are going on. We're going to cover all the charts. Actually, I have a lot of very, very bullish looking charts. So even with all of this BS happening on the House and them complaining that other countries have centralized bank digital currencies already, they already have control mechanisms in them. So why aren't we doing it here in the United States? That's the conversation in a nutshell happening on the House floor right now. Bitcoin building up its own floor here, though. We got
you are banned
already. What the hell happened?
I don't know. Ask Steve when he's back.
All right. Oh my God. Was Miss Raisin Brand anti-Semitic? No, it's not. Don't psyop me, stink finger. Unbelievable. Now, here's Bitcoin. Okay. Now we are, we're a little bit ahead of altcoins in terms of this green dot having been printed on the weekly. There is a highlighted zone, which is a CME gap. The CME gap is right below where we came back down to yesterday. Very, very interesting for me to see Bitcoin edging us like it is on the overall CME gap not being filled, and it's really not too far away from where we're at. But this current volume node, you saw it on a very backed up version just a second ago. This is on the 4-hour time frame. This volume node is getting thick. at 117.5. I knew I should have pulled the trigger at 117.5. Didn't do it. Was in the car with the kids. Couldn't trade in that situation. But price fell right down to that exact point. Now we're seeing if we got the juice to hold it up. The 4-hour MACD, you know, these EMAs, they do look like they're going to try to make another attempt at flipping up into the positive, into the green zone here. This little pump for ants has already kind of evened out here, but it's incredible to see Bitcoin showing this amount of strength. But we still have the weakness, the underlying weakness going on in Bitcoin, which is the dominance. And this can be translated to strength if you're a psychopath that holds micro cap altcoins waiting for the moment of absolute glory. Well, folks, we are knocking on the door of that right now. In my humble opinion, we have pulled back by about 5.5%. But the giga bullish scenarios for altcoins that I'm going to be getting into later on in the show are all going to be designed around looking at different levels of Bitcoin dominance falling down to 50%. I am not looking for the disgusting moon math that would happen to altcoins if we did fall down to this 43%, mid 40s range. There is right now a good comparison. We're looking at Bitcoin dominance, but here is, let's hop on over to ETH dominance. ETH dominance is trying to show some absolute upside violence here. We are pumped from this double bottom moment. We have pumped by 60% in terms of Bitcoin dominance over the crypto market cap, currently sitting at 10.8%. Now, I am going to bring up the numbers of what Ethereum is going to look like if we do come up in re-tap this 20% market dominance for Ethereum. More than likely, though, a more likely scenario for me is around a 15% market dominance for Ethereum. I do think that Ethereum's time to shine is knocking on the door, because what's happening on the Hill and all these concerns, you know, the Genius Act, I think that they're going to end up coming to terms with each other. There's a lot of, you know, conversation about what needs to be done in terms of this regulation to make sure that there is not a central bank digital currency that has hardcore loss of private money transfer. And this is what Tim Pritchett put out last night. Shout out to Veteran Crypto tagging me in it after his conversations with Trump in this regard.
Hey everybody, Tim Pritchett. It's raining like cats and dogs, lightning striking. Anyway, we just worked it out on the cryptocurrency, and what we were concerned about was
worked it out on the cryptocurrency. This is terrifying that these are the people in charge of making, like, they're just like, yeah, this crypto thing.
The ability of the federal government to track it in a unnatural way, and like you can't really track cash, and very Big Brother-esque, the central banking thing. And so we were able to get that worked out, an agreement with the White House and leadership, House and Senate. So hopefully we'll get this thing worked out. And so I went on and voted yes on the cryptocurrency bill. So it's real light storm back there. Anyway, late night, still got to go do an interview on the CNN, as they say.
The CNN. I love this dude. He's so old school. Well, at least, you know, they get it because they want the old design of cash was that it was non-trackable and they couldn't shut it down. They couldn't shut your, you know, transaction in cash down. And I think that that's something really, really important for us to hold on to and to fight against, make sure it doesn't happen. But, you know, what we've been warning about on the channel for a while is that we're probably looking at what is the next iteration of a digital dollar, which, in my opinion, looks like it's Circle's USDC coin. A Circle ban, a CBDC ban is nice, but mostly for show. This is from William Watson. USDC is a diet CBDC, and we're all already using it, basically. So there is that. We have to acknowledge kind of what things are. And, you know, we have the hyperbolic side, the Democrats coming out with spewing their distaste for crypto. This is Elizabeth Warren in all of her glory talking about crypto.
And guardrails to make sure that crypto isn't used to blow up our entire economy. So I'm very worried about that, but I want to add one more twist, and that is the Clarity bill has all those problems, but it also has a provision in it that would let any company listed on the New York Stock Exchange opt out of SEC regulation by just digitizing themselves, put themselves on the blockchain, and all of a sudden it turns out that Amazon or Meta or General Motors is no longer governed by the SEC. You do realize that literally would blow up the value of the New York Stock Exchange. That
We're going to blow it up in a good way, though. We're going up into the right. What are you talking about, lady? Jesus. Blow up. Just shut up. The banking broad bought off by banks. The talking piece to keep people on the sidelines. Paid talking piece to keep people on the sidelines. It's retarded what she's saying. And you know what? This system, it's going to kick the can down the road. As long as there are the entities of the Federal Reserve, all these other things, they're going to take advantage of ways to access new capital, new value. That's the whole thing. And the thing that's the underlying tone why I know this is all fanfare is because stable coins are turning into some of the biggest buyers of your Ponzi scheme, the fiat dollar. That is how I know that crypto is an immovable object. Regardless of all the yappings of Pocahontas and Raisin Bran, it doesn't matter. Crypto's not going anywhere because it's going to continue to buy treasury bonds and continue the Ponzi scheme of the US dollar. That it is what it is. You know what? If we had the ability to actually stop the existence of the Federal Reserve, if the Congress had an ounce of actual spine, then sure, we could talk about things being more, private and getting back to that 1776-esque moment where we actually have freedom. But we are captured. This is the system where, as just a dad with a family to provide for and a future to build, I'm layering into the best investments that aren't involved. If you want to ethically be involved with things that are backing and helping advance CBDCs, that's up to you. Fine, go for it. But for me, I am ethos driven. I want decentralization. I want the alternative guardrails to world finance built. And so I'm going to invest in the best projects within that realm that I see fit. So, and shout out to the chat. I didn't give a quick hello here. Good morning. And thanks for joining me and spending your important time here on the Blockchain Basement. Julie, Granny's Garden, Laserface, VZ Fat Cat, Objectively Real, Granny's Garden, I didn't think I said you again, Connect Pixels. This is the situation at hand. Okay, this is the plan. The Democrats are salivating for the ability to control your movement, your dollar. Republicans want a version of it, basically a CBDC light with USDC, and giving the Treasury the ability to print even more of their, currencies through private sector and buy up Treasury bonds. That's the whole spiel. That's everything going on right now, in my opinion. Checked out Marinade yesterday. Marinade, the altcoin does look nice as far as I can see it. Now, the other thing going on, and the other big concern in crypto is, did the U.S. government just reveal through the U.S. Marshals that they sold their Bitcoin? U.S. Marshals revealed in a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request, revealing that the U.S. government now only holds 28,988 Bitcoin, worth about $3.4 billion, instead of the estimated 200,000 Bitcoin that they say they hold. So we see Cynthia Lummis latch onto this conversation. This all kind of stemmed from this post here, an interaction with David Bailey and this Lola account, basically sourcing out all their different, FOIA requests, full list of Bitcoin holdings, dated March 2024. But there is some context to this, some greater context. It's what right now is a situation, and the answer is no. The government did not actually sell 80% of its Bitcoin holdings as the information we have right now. Instead, these reports are claiming that this is, sold Bitcoin is a misconception from this FOIA request. Essentially, what's going on is there's a key distinction between what holdings are what within the U.S. government. There's a portion of seized Bitcoin, where it's temporarily held by agencies like the FBI and the DEA, right? And they do this during investigations. This is an example like the 95,000 Bitcoin from the Bitfinex hack, which it may, this is where the nuance is, because this seized Bitcoin may actually return to the victims or creditors rather than becoming government property. Now, there's a portion of forfeited Bitcoin or legally owned by the government after the court proceedings have been completed. This is where this is what essentially the U.S. Marshals manage and can sell via auctions, right? So there's a big distinction between the bags. There's a big tug of war going on. Are the Bitfinex hack victims going to actually get their crypto back? This is where the muddiness in the water actually begins. So a quick clarification on that, because I know that there's a lot of swirling reports. You have Cynthia Loomis saying that she's alarmed by this. Cynthia Loomis is a representative out of Wyoming, and she was alarmed by the, reports of these 80% of a Bitcoin reserves being sold, only sitting on 29,000 within the Marshal Service side. If this is true, this would be a huge setback. Shout out to Bitcoin Bandicoot becoming a member and dropping a couple members as well. Very, very. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. We do our best to weed through all the noise and get to the truth here, right? So essentially what we're talking about is the Marshals side of court finalized Bitcoin in the U.S. government holdings. Now, this report, it says that they sold 80% of that amount, which would come around 110,000 Bitcoin. So we are going to keep an eye on this. This is the letter, the U.S. Department of Justice, the United States Marshal Service responding to your Freedom of Information Act request. Let's see here. So it goes through, we have all of the different spreadsheets here, and this is where all of the data is scrubbed from and coming up with just that 29,000 Bitcoin. Now, if this was the case, what it means for Bitcoin is a gigabull. Okay, if the U.S. government realizes that they're behind by this amount, that this amount of Bitcoin was actually sold off by the Marshall side, that is where you get a fever pitch, because the government's got to patch that hole. They're not going to lose the rates, right? And they'll probably manipulate the market down as best they can to do those dip buying opportunities for the U.S. government. But you know what? We're going to have to keep an eye on this, because that would put some serious buying pressure, especially if what Cynthia Loomis is pushing for is move forward with this market. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Essentially, my long-term explanation, or kind of what I'm expecting, is if this is true, then that will turn the buying pressure to levels we could only dream of this bull market. So this is actually something that I hope is true. I also don't think that their gold is in Fort Knox. I don't think that gold is in Fort Knox. I don't think the amount of gold that we say is in Fort Knox is actually there. If it was, we would have revalued it at $3,400. We would have added $1 trillion to our balance sheet to make our outstanding debt look not so bad. But instead, no, we get scammed, because that's what the system is. And they just say the gold's there when it's not. It's all lies. Birds aren't real. Diddy isn't real. None of this is real. Unbelievable. Isaac, I'm ready to crash out, man.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I mean, I completely agree about the Fort Knox. There's no gold.
I mean, why wouldn't they revalue it to $1 trillion of value instead of leaving it at like what, $10 billion? This is insane.
Because it's not there.
Absolutely insane. So,
duh.
Gold is the sea. Kelly said it.
Say?
Kelly just said it. And islands aren't real. Yeah, exactly. Islands aren't even real now. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. You know what's real? The friends that we make along the way, right?
And that's Bitcoin. Only thing that's real. Everything else is a scam.
Yeah, XRP I've been seeing is flying. I do want to go check out. I have XRP's chart up, but I will bring up the XRP dominance, because it is something noteworthy here. Just to give you a snapshot of how crazy things change in crypto. This is the Pico top of the 2018-2017 bull market for altcoins, right? So this is XRP at $3.30 at $130 billion market cap in 2018, you guys. So, things get crazy. Then you fast forward to the next bull market, October 2021. Then XRP had fallen down the rungs here to number 7. Ethereum started to really find its stride, hit a $500 billion market cap in this 2021 bull market. And now, when I look at this ecosystem, man, this is where things are sitting. Ethereum getting back close to those old school numbers. XRP has far surpassed that 2017 $130 billion market is now at $190 billion in market cap, but it's sitting right there at that same all-time high. That's what happens when you have inflation. And there's actually going to be really heavy uptick of inflation on XRP over the next year, which you must keep an eye out for if you're an early investor in it. If you're sitting on 17 cents to $3 plus value, keep in mind inflation is going to start picking up until the remainder of 2025 into mid 2026. Just a quick reminder on that. But this is crazy to see where we're at now. 2.3 trillion on Bitcoin, 400 billion on Ethereum, and 190 billion on XRP. I'm going to be looking at these main projects, Solana, XRP, Cardano, to see what a system like this would look like, what this ecosystem is actually statistically going to set up to be if we do see this Bitcoin dominance fall to even just a 50% level. I think a lot of people are, discounting the violent upside action that happens to altcoins when we do see this historic and kind of rinse and repeating patterns of Bitcoin dominance falling off while the price goes absolutely ballistic and people start speculating on lower market cap projects, things with utility, things that make sense. So now we've clarified the government Bitcoin holdings situation. Let's go take a look at the data that we got here. Bitcoin is at $120,000 and it's not even overheated yet. This is the realized cap. Age bands from Quinton, and just look at the fever pitch, not even in the room, as we're at $120,000. Now, the fever pitch previously hit on those inauguration timeframes as well right here. And then you have the kind of 75K pump right there, which was hyper bullish. And then previously that you have the I think this is the AI run, right? This is kind of like the AI run. So we're not even in overheated territory for Bitcoin. A lot of room to run to the upside. Obviously, Michael Saylor doing his best to just keep pounding the fact that Bitcoin is the king. We get it. We understand. I think we're knocking on this door of a season for alts that'll make many more angry Bitcoin maxis as they get set up to see these things go ballistic. It is what it is. It is what it is. On the Clarity Act, they're talking about these things today, still in delegation. We already covered this. I got to share the screen. I accidentally just deleted that screen. I'm trying to run through a lot of the news as quickly as I can so I can get to the altcoins because we have a lot of really, really good looking graphs here. So we have a bill introduced in Congress to require lenders to consider crypto holdings when applying for mortgage. I think that this is pretty awesome to be now taken serious enough as crypto investors where we can, have our value that we have in crypto also taken into account when it comes to getting a loan for a home. I'm a big proponent of people taking care of their families, getting nice houses. And a quick question, Isaac, you can only bring back one company, okay? Only one.
Radio Shack and Blockbuster.
Radio Shack? Okay.
I need to experience.
Yeah. You missed the golden age, man.
I was here for Toys R Us. I was here for Sears.
Yeah. I think the easy pick for me is Blockbuster. But it was where me as a kid, I went all the time. But when I went to Radio Shack, it was always for something very, very specific, small, and electronic. That was before the days of Amazon. That was before we could just type in the thing and it'd be available. Radio Shack really had an awesome selection. So good pick on that. I like that. Let me know in the chat which store you would bring back if it was between Blockbuster, Toys R Us, Borders, Radio Shack, Sears, Hollywood Video. I was never a fan of. Hollywood Video, always the ground was sticky. You know, there was some weird person behind the desk with a do-rag on. Unbelievable. Then Circuit City had kind of like a weird feel. It was in Boulder. It was like, you know, surrounded by all this fancy stuff. Not the best upkept place. Payless. Do you know Payless? Do you know the lore of Payless shoes,
Yeah,
Isaac?
I used to get my shoes at Payless, actually.
There you go. That's my man.
Yeah.
That's my man. And Big K, Kmart, underrated, according to Michelle. Just let me know. This is the nostalgia, you know, section of the show. But let's get into altcoin nostalgia. Now let's take a look at Ethereum. So the main volume node that I highlighted yesterday was at $3,353. Well, we did what pattern I really like seeing here is we came up and above that mark and then are now trying to prove this as support. And as you can see, so far today, we have bounced twice. I did not move this line when I drew it yesterday. I left this here, and this is trying to bounce in that preferred pattern where you come up and above that, you know, that turbulent trend line, you come back down, prove it as support. So we're going to see if Ethereum can bounce off of this level. As I said, the Ethereum dominance is looking absolutely delicious. And now when I'm looking at this, a lot of old school volume, a lot of, you know, profit taking or rotation movement zone that I would be highlighting or just keeping in mind is right here at about 14%, right at about 14% on Ethereum. So this is a level that, and this is Ethereum and how much of the overall market cap it's likely to dominate or is dominating right now. Right now, it's dominating 10.9%. I could see this going up to 14, maybe 15% before getting exhausted and hitting old school rotational zones. Now, as Ethereum sits on the larger time frames, here is the weekly graph, and we are coming up. We are trying to knock our head onto this downward trend line that has been the dominating factor in Ethereum's price action on the weekly time frame, a much larger time set here. So you have the green weekly dots that we know we highlighted on Bitcoin as that first leading indicator. We had the green dot go off as well on Ethereum September of both 2023 and 24. We're still riding the results of that green dot that was printed April of 2025, but that was the nasty, huge tariff dip, the trade war dip that brought Ethereum all the way down, damn nearly to its knees at $1,400. Now, since then, we have rallied very, very aggressively on Ethereum. We are up by 140% since those signals had fired off. We are coming up to this previous resistance point, and again, the same concept of what I'm hopeful to see on this graph. I will just draw right now to see if we end up getting it. Is that same type of come back over that trend line, prove it as support, and then get to move on up from there. But if I'm looking at this situation and I want to compare, what would this graph on Ethereum end up looking like if we did see, again, Bitcoin dominance break down and head to this stronger than ever before floor of 50%? I'm doing this analysis in a diminished return expectation. Keep that in mind. Now we do a fib from the high to the low of this entire market cycle. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're going from the top, $4,800, down to the bottom, the lows of around $890. Shout out to anyone that got $900 Ethereum in this massive, massive pullback. ETH was the first to die in alts right behind Solana. Honestly, Solana got its ass kicked from that FTX fallout, but Ethereum fell very, very hard, very, very quickly. And so Ethereum is now trying to hit these 1-0 levels on the Fibonacci, which is the previous all-time high. It has not even gotten there. And if we see Bitcoin dominance drop to the 50% zone, and then we also, in tandem, get to experience Ethereum rising to that 15% zone, right? Then let's just do some back of the napkin math here. So in general, this market cap, where I think we could end up in terms of the total market cap, let's talk about that. Okay, so the total market cap, I think we are capable of getting on the whole market, right? Let's I got to make my screen big here real quick and I'll make it small again. So in terms of this, very conservative expectation is around I feel like $6 trillion market cap is conservative. Now, $10 trillion market cap is obtainable, not conservative. That's like the upper echelon of my expectations, a $10 trillion market cap, even exceeding, that's Bitcoin at 240K. That's some big stuff. But let's say it gets to that $10 trillion market cap, then you end up, if you retain 15% of that, then you're holding $1.5 trillion on Ethereum's market cap. Okay. This is just some explanation to show you how frothy this market has the potential of getting right now. And let's just bust this down. Obviously, the inflation is going to be around 121, 122 by then because there's inflation on Ethereum. But let's say that we do see this gigabull scenario that gets you to a $12,000 per token price level. And if we go back and compare this with our notes on the Fibonacci extension, this would be the purple zone of the Fibonacci hyper extension bull market scenario. So, aiming for this purple is not my preferred thing. I'm looking still within the red zone, but showing you what Ethereum will do if Bitcoin and the larger crypto market cap does hit that $10 trillion mark. Ethereum, I think, can absolutely perform up to the 15%. Now, if it goes to the 20%, that's where things get really stupid. Let's go check out what happens if Ethereum does come back up, and there is a potential for it. Tap with all the regulatory clarity for stablecoins and all of this expansion of DeFi, crazier things have happened. If it comes up and taps this 20%, you're going to $2 trillion market cap on Ethereum in that hyperbull scenario. And we go there. Let's check this out. That's where you get the 16K move. And you're starting to perform to the very top echelon of price expectations in a Fibonacci sequence environment. So that's just Ethereum showing you the potential of what's going on right now. And now in this hyperbull scenario, there are a couple other assets that I do want to check out. I am seeing some very bullish signals going off on Chainlink. I'm seeing a longer term W pattern formation coming into the situation here. Now, the volume nodes, we got to understand, I left this one on here to see this volume node right here, which is the Hillary Clinton style glass ceiling, $17.72 as things sit right now. But we are getting ready to knock on that door. Chainlink is looking very bullish. Let's look at the larger time frame, 4-hour MACD as well. Barely even started to move up into a larger green uptrend. So it is knocking on the door. It's seemingly finding support on its estimated moving averages above that zero line, which is telling me that it's got a lot of gas in the tank. Now we go over to Chainlink and we look, it's got a fresher green dot on the weekly. It's got a fresher green dot on the weekly. It is pumping beautifully. And really, this leaves a lot of room and of opportunity for me, because if I'm seeing the proof of bill roll out, if I'm seeing CCIP go live with Swift, if I'm seeing all these other mechanisms actually happening, which are still in process of being set up. Obviously, we're fighting about the Clarity Act and all those things on the Hill right now between those Democrats and Republicans. But in a situation where dominance falls the way that I do think it is for Bitcoin, and an upswing in ETH dominance continues, I'm thinking that, the purple zone of this fib makes a lot of sense right now. So this is the entire market cap or market movement of Chainlink since bull market peak to low. And right now we haven't even, we have a ways to go in terms of hitting that one zone, that flatline zone, which I think is a very diminished expectation for Chainlink price expectation in this bull market. I'm actually looking up in this $100, $120 to $170 zone. I think that Chainlink can absolutely perform to the purple zone of its fib extension. And again, these are not logarithmic. This is straight up raw dog, non-logarithmic charts. on fib extensions for the entire market cycles, and Chainlink is just barely out of its bear market zone, you guys. You got to realize how much is in front of us in terms of these price movements. Now, Solana looks like a very, very, honestly, a pretty beautiful cup and handle. We got a cup and handle going on here. So that is what I see on Solana. Solana has been pretty exciting since that $7 move. I mean, it made it all the way on up to $290. You had the trade sell-off, but that trade sell-off did not break us below these old school levels. So what I see for a Solana, let's go over to Solana and check out what we can actually accomplish in this breakdown of Bitcoin dominance and the continued rise of ETH dominance. Let's head on over to Solana USDT and let's go check her out. Now, again, this is the larger time frames, very similar to Chainlink, a more recent green weekly dot. We see a beautiful sign on Solana that the money flow is actually now trying to swoop back on up to the upside, because seeing the money flow decrease on Solana was very, very worrisome. But you have the light at the end of the tunnel is that decrease of money flow only ended up pulling you down to about $100, right? That money flow loss, if it would have hit the red zone and the PSYOP be real, I mean, then you're heading back down to fucking, what is this, $50? So Solana held up really beautifully in the light of all that mess. Now we are on a fresher green dot. Let's pull the fib. Let's pull the fib of the entire damn market cycle of Solana. We tapped that previous high. Then we got the trade war, a little slap in the mouth of the people that had the gusto to buy these altcoins. Now, with Solana absolutely overperforms. And let's go look at Solana dominance. Let's go look at Solana dominance, right? Let's go look at sol.d. Let's see where we're at in terms of that. So we're at a 2%, 2.5% dominance. It is moving up into the right, the dominance. Now, if Solana dominance even just breaches these previous levels, like 4%, I mean, absolutely stupid. The Solana dominance is an interesting one to look at. I could see this tangibly going to 5%. I could see Solana dominance continuing to 5% in a dominance for Bitcoin fall off scenario. So that would be, if 5% dominance of, $10 trillion. So that'd be that'd be $500 billion. That'd be $500 billion of market cap for Solana. So this is why, I'm a heavy crypto researcher. I got a lot of data in the back of my head. I also tested Grok to see how it did. I mean, it doesn't do the historical metrics for crypto the way that I'd want to see out of Grok. So it's not really, you can't just plug this stuff in yet. I'm sure it'll get to that point. But so we go to 500 bill, 5% dominance on a $10 trillion market cap. You're going to $947 a unit. That brings you to the top end of the fib for sure. Top end price performance. Now, again, I'm happy and I'm a winner. I'm a big winner if these alts end up performing to even the red zone of this. The red zone, not extreme blow off top, not extreme, but just tap in like that 3%. Let's say 3% dominance on Solana, then you're at a $300 billion market cap, and that's that price of around $550 a unit. So that's right in there. That's if this just holds and you get just a 3% hold on dominance for Solana. So these charts are all looking damn bullish. I absolutely love what I'm seeing. And now I get to start snooping around. Obviously I'm looking for longs in this situation. I'm not out there looking for shorts in terms of my leverage trading process here. And really the spots are doing great. I think Chainlink, someone asked again for me to repeat, I'm targeting the higher red to mid purple zone for Chainlink for a comfortable sell for me. But my comfortable sells come from me having accumulated this project in 2020 for $1.90. And then again, I bought big. You know, I mean, the 2020 dip, look at the March 2020 dip. I didn't even catch the full bottom of Chainlink. I caught it like halfway through this fall, and you know, I got it for $1.90 a unit. And then I bought real heavily on Chainlink at about $5 a unit in this zone. I was actually able to catch the lower end of this zone for I think it's $5.50. So the average buys are very low on Chainlink. So my chaos is another person's normalcy. If they're ending up buying, you know, these in between $20 to $50 and it gets up to the $100 room, okay, it's, you know, a 5x whatever. Let's go check out Chainlink dominance. Let's go check out Chainlink dominance. I want to see that. That's probably beat down to all living hell. Let's go check it out. Let's so we got link.d on the weekly time frames. And obviously, you know, these are the great like you know, escape moments where now we see what we call dinosaur coins, but shout out to the coins, you know, that are not Bitcoin for being able to survive this long, honestly. And actually, this is pretty fucking awesome. Look at this. So you have this, and yeah, this latest move was a deviation from the trend for sure. But actually, that's a really nice fucking bounce right there. Now, Chainlink, you know, if we see a lot of this integration with the government actually happen, if we see Swift actually go live with even 1% of CCIP, this chart means nothing. Okay, this chart means nothing, and Chainlink will hit, you know, I don't even want to talk about it. If everything that's on the line for Chainlink actually goes down, Swift integrations, the proof of act, the proof of reserves, you know, and in use of CCIP at a like literal government level, like that's 10% dominance. That's 10% dominance. That's a $1 trillion market cap. That's a big if, as Crypto Sivo, you're reading my mind. So what I'm looking at here is just returning to old school levels. It is going to run into a lot of resistance at this level at 0.7% of the entire market cap. Chainlink has resistance, right? And so 1% of a, you know, a $10 trillion market cap. What is that? What is it, like a 10% of a 1 trillion? So that's like $1 trillion is 10%. So if you go down to 1%, that's $100 billion. 100 billion. So if you get a 1% move, on Chainlink dominance, and this is in the context of a greater hyperbolic bull market, you're hitting $100 billion market cap. That's how stupid things get. And how easy it is when you're buying these ridiculous projects and everyone's making fun of you and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Just be reminded of this. Okay. Just be reminded of this. So like a baby move to 1% on dominance for Chainlink in the backdrop of a mega bull market, you're still getting $155 a year. You're still getting $155 a year. So good looking out. I'm glad that we looked at that link dominance chart as well. You know, this 1% move, this is hyperbole. I think that honestly, the real hyperbole is if Link goes live with all those, you know, government level requirements for reserves, and people have to use Chainlink to go from chain to chain, and CCIP goes live with Swift. So all of these things are on the table. Now, I really like looking at the bigger cap coins. I like looking at what a scenario would look like. In this video, I've spent some good time laying the backdrop of what is pushing us to these, you know, near $10 trillion market cap projections that are in my mind now. I do want to go look at Cardano. Okay. So Cardano last bull market hit $3. It had that original, you know, it came out way kind of overvalued, sold off hard, or insiders, you know, just lost its ass when it first came out. But it did break above those release points. The release point's at about 30 cents, right? So it came up and beyond the release point. The release point at 30 cents is held up as support. It looks like twice concisely. And then you start building this generalized uptrend of lower highs. And I'm really taking time to back up and really look at this shit, because there's a lot of people that don't pay attention to crypto all the time that are coming back. I can tell. So this is why I'm giving these longer lessons here. So Cardano's market fib goes from $3 down to the low of 21 cents. Huge, huge range. Let's pull that and check out what we're dealing with. And again, still targeting the red zone for my alts, the old school alts that I hold. We got them way lower levels. So Cardano, if it doesn't overperform, if it doesn't go absolutely ballistic, I'm looking for that $5 to $6 Cardano. I'm looking for that $5 to $6 Cardano. It has a lot of room to run until it hits even that flatline one on the fib extension. And we are riding off of dual printed green dots, momentum waves to the downside that were eaten up. You're seeing money flow back on up to the upside, getting out of the red, but Cardano is not even out of that flatline zero spot. So this is the type of stuff, this is the nuance within the data that we spend day in and day out looking at to give you guys the signal of when these things are happening. And Cardano is starting to build that ramp towards a mega green money flow movement on it. So in this situation, all systems a go. I'm targeting in that 5 to 7%, $5 to $7 is something I could see happening for Cardano. Absolutely, I do feel that way. Its current price 79 cents. I mean, you're not getting a 10x, you're getting like an 8 or 9x out of it. But generalized movement, this is what I can see for that, because I know a lot of people have been accumulating a lot of Cardano, Solana, even XRP, and XRP in this scenario, I think it can absolutely double. I think it can do $5 to $6. I think that the speculation on it will happen. And for people that have been investing for years in XRP, that's going to be an incredible move in terms of price appreciation. In terms of outpacing inflation, we're winning. If you can have turned 17-cent XRP into $5 XRP, you're absolutely winning. It's about buying lows and whatever. Like, we can be bullish as all get out, but it's about looking for the lows that can happen in any given range, in any given project, and then buying those up and making our entry points low. Because we are knocking on the door. We got Peter Brandt, crazy seeing Peter Brandt talking about the beginnings of alt season. He's talking about it's alt season. He's highlighting a long-term, large-scale cup and handle pattern happening here on the crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So this is something to keep an eye on. The cup and handle pattern, I think, is playing out. And you know what? I want to go look at the total, excluding a lot of these different projects, to see what we're looking at here. So we got total crypto market cap, then we got it just excluding BTC. We may as well, since we freshly looked at Peter Brandt's post, take a look at that one. So this cup and handle pattern, I look at things from a long-term perspective. You got basically the top of the cup made there. Bam. You go to breakout moment. Go to the breakout. Jesus. That's that $8-9 trillion market cap, boys and girls. When you see the data lining up on a bunch of different places, it's hard to ignore it. It's really hard to ignore. See, oh God, that would be so crazy to see everything. This is everything, not including Bitcoin, hitting $4 trillion market cap. Bitcoin still holding 50% dominance, making up another 4 to 5 trillion. Jesus. That is absolutely crazy. Crazy metrics. Isaac.
Yo.
I think things are going to get retarded here soon.
Super retarded.
I think things are going to get real dumb. Now, Solana auxiliaries, still something I need to stack more of. Solana auxiliaries, I think, are completely undervalued right now. I think that, AI is hoisting up the Solana ecosystem in the future. I predict this. I think that AI agents built on Solana going to give some juice. It's also got the memes, the trenches, the The carcasses from the last meme world war have woken up again. They're coming out of the trenches. Solana buy list. I think Solana buy list is something that we need to do as a video, right? Because everyone knows Solana went to nearly $300. You're going to have people looking for that upside. You're up big today on drift.
Yeah.
Should we I mean, maybe it's the time we start taking our snags at Marinade. What do you think? Because we see the DEXs are doing good. What do you think? What'd you say?
I said we've been looking at Marinade for a while now. Love it.
Yeah.
I got a great buy point too. And it's what?
Let's go to
it's
Marinade.
down. It's down on the day, so it's an even better buy point.
Yeah, I want to go here.
Great project. It's a micro cap too, $43 million market cap. I mean, that's a snag. Anything under 100 million is kind of a snag.
And think about it. So October is kind of the time frame when they're talking about making the staked ETH available, and I think then you're going to see the massive, because Marinade is one of the staking mechanisms that they're trying to use at a Wall Street level on Solana's ecosystem. So Marinade is kind of that engine behind Solana staking that's being looked at primarily by these ETF projects, or they're not projects, but just baskets of information or investments. Marinade is very, very flatline on the year, bro. Like, honestly, this might be a nasty move. This is a $43 million market cap. I'm leaving this one on. Leaving this one on my screen here. This is giving me a little bit of potential opportunity here on Marinade. I think that there's some good moves there. Now, we've seen retail interest shift from Bitcoin to Ethereum. We see the top trender right now, XRP, then Ethereum, then Cardano. We're seeing the attention start to shift down to kind of the like blue chip alts, I guess you could say. And, that next move downhill, right? Those auxiliary plays on Solana's ecosystem. Ethereum, you can look at downhill plays in DeFi or the base network. Base network have been really, really uppity lately as far as those coins. We're starting to see that sentiment shift, that FOMO shift into it. It's a beautiful thing to see. Absolutely crazy. Now, this within the base movement yesterday, there's potential. Veteran Crypto's highlighting this. Maybe they're going to integrate Mamo straight into base and be your personal finance companion. This is
that's what Mamo was built for.
Right. Yeah. And if they get chosen by Coinbase to do so, Mamo goes berserk. Absolutely. Mamo will go berserk if they get chosen as this integrated long-term partner on Coinbase. Yesterday, they renamed to Base. Coinbase renamed to Base. They no longer have the circle Pac-Man looking thing. Now it's literally just a square. Whoever made this logo should be fired.
Their interns all suck.
Explode. Like, what are they doing here? What are they doing here? So, yeah, they rebranded. But really what we see on the underlayment, I think that they're rebranding to set up. They're rebranding to set up and actually have the DEX on Coinbase go live. The DEX on Coinbase is going to go live, and with it, it's going to be powered by Aerodrome. As I said a second ago, Aerodrome picks have been printing as of late. Yesterday, it was absolutely ridiculous. We do got to go to the watch list. Let's hop on over here. Bam. XRP is the top gainer today out of the holds, which is absolutely insane. It's up 31%. It's nearly a $200 billion market cap. Holy sheep shit on a shingle. Ondo over $1. So that feels good. We got Moonwell still trying to knock on the door of that 4-cent mark here. It's up 6% today. Cardano right behind it, trying to kick that 80-cent mark down. And Ethereum holding up at $3,400. Absolutely insane to see. Chainlink still fighting over that 17-cent mark. Something kind of sleepy. Plume. Another one, still sleepy, but I think it's right behind in line, is Avalanche. Morpho is just resetting from major moves. It's up 24% on the week. Just trying to prove this $2 mark as support. And Aerodrome breached $1 this morning, and now we are pulling back. So we breached $1 just barely. I was like, God, do I short a project I love? No, I didn't. Of course, I should have shorted it. And now we are at the 89-cent realm, but it's honestly just toiling up. If you look at the monthly graph on Aerodrome, this pullback actually lines up really nicely. We can draw this trend here and just kind of get a feel for this, actually, because I think we just stumbled across some pretty important data on Aerodrome in terms of maybe I actually pull off a trade on this. Maybe I can actually pull a trade on an altcoin. We can drop 3 or 4%, come back down to this 86-cent realm. That'd be a juicy little long for me, baby. Juicy little long. So this is something I'm watching, but honestly, I'm feeling good about this. Look at the graph explosion. Since we bottomed out that local bottom, where was that? These are on hourly. It's not going to show it. I think we're in like the 30-cent range is when the darkest hour came, 29 cents. This is a dark hour. There's a lot of people that sold it, man. What are we doing here? We buy tops and sell lows? Here, what are we doing, man? Can't believe how many people I got hitting me up saying they just, I got out. And I was like, what, dude, we're in an alt. Alts are going to run. There is going to be an alt season. So sad. It is so sad. I mean, even just this local time frame from April to now, you've pumped by 190%. Holy God. Come on, man. Come on. And if you're here with me from day one when we bought this thing, you know, your original buys, even to this diminished bullshit zone that we're in right now, is damn near 4x. You know, if you've sold with me when I sold, you made it from the bottom to the top. Let's say about $200.10 is where I cheated. You're up 1,000%. People ask me, how do I get a 10x? Jesus Christ. Right there in front of us. Right there in front of us. It's hard out there in the trenches, Isaac. Hard out there.
It's very difficult.
What's that?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, eh?
You do your best, you know. You just do your best. You show up every day. Someone else that's showing up every day is Pulte going after Jerome Powell's nuts. Talking about Jerome Powell spent more money on his office renovations, $2.5 billion, than it took the Dallas Cowboys to build an entire stadium. Why is nobody talking about it? Apparently, Jerome Powell spent $9,000 per foot on the renovation for the Federal Reserve.
And Dallas Cowboys suck. So that's why their stadium was already cheap to begin with.
Okay,
they're the worst
so you
team
kind of
in the
skipped
NFL.
Okay,
yeah, they're the worst team in the NFL. Anybody who goes against that is it's a soy boy. Oop, sorry, I had to say it.
Jesus Christ. Hey, you know what? There's so much I gotta cut. I got so lost in the alts because the charts are looking so damn juicy. But there's other things going on. We got Coca-Cola now going to use real cane sugar. Huge win. High fructose corn syrup is terrible for you. Cane sugar will be a huge improvement. I think that this is very much so true. This is from Robbie Starbuck highlighting Donald Trump's post about this. Coca-Cola pulling away from that disgusting poison. Please. Now thinking, go back to the old school Coca-Cola. Now we're talking. That's MAGA country. Very large 7.3 to 7.6 earthquakes going off in Alaska. Tsunami issues warning up there in Alaska. The earth's been rumbling. I will say Mount Rainier, the volcano within it's had the largest swarm I think we've had in history. And then we have this going on up in Alaska. The earth is giving off some large rumbles. So I am keeping an eye on that. I'm following some great resources on it, and my mom just can't stop with this. She's obsessed with this. So staying up to date for you there, Ma. Yes, we do see the big ringing of the bell up in Alaska. We understand. The one that I'm really kind of worried about is the massive swarm at Mount Rainier. There are a lot of small earthquakes, the most in history, that are all within like 2.0, 3.0, things of that nature. So they're going under the radar. Might be building up for something real nasty. Now, I was talking about nicotine yesterday. All right.
Obviously.
I was talking about nicotine yesterday. Then the algorithm listened to me, and it gave me this conversation of Tucker Carlson, okay, King Tuck talking about nicotine with a noob. Let's have a listen to this.
What is the hype on nicotine?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Hype suggests undeserved praise.
Okay.
And yet there's nothing about nicotine that's undeserved.
undeserved.
Right. I mean, it's the idea that you could hype something like this, a naturally occurring compound, I think it's the only compound ever analyzed by scientists that simultaneously increases mental acuity and relaxation.
Okay, should I try
So it's
this
like a
with you for the
natural
first time?
speedball. This is how John Belushi died, but this will not kill you. In fact, it will enhance your life.
Okay, don't give me a super powerful one. What do I do?
So this is a 9.
Will I
Are you
turn into?
Jesus.
do you use nicotine?
He's trying to start her on a 9. God damn, man, that's a strong
It's not
move.
going to kill you, but if you start a 9, it might kill you.
A lot?
No, I've never used it. So give me
Okay,
the
so we're
baby
not going
version.
to actually give this to you because
What about the 6?
I think we would start you on a 3
And that doesn't. We don't have it.
but I think we would prepare you for some nausea. I'm not going to lie about this.
Really?
This is about truth. This is about the unvarnished veracity of the human experience. Okay?
Well, I just had this fascinating doctor on, Dr. Brian Artis, and he was talking about the benefits of nicotine, saying like it'll help with your MS symptoms, and he doesn't ever get sick anymore because he's taking it.
You're affecting this. My daughters do this, and he said da 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 da, and that voice suggests skepticism.
Well, because my audience was a little skeptical.
What I'm hearing you say is I don't fully believe everything Dr. Brian Artis was telling me.
I believe it. My audience was like on the fence. It was.
See, so this is the ongoing conversation. And me, I'm at 4 milligrams right now. The thing is that they're mixed with caffeine. So they got coffee grinds in these things. So it's kind of a double entendre. It's a double whammy. It's 4 millis. You know, I'm probably taking 4 to 5 of them a day. Pack lasts me a while, but you know what? I'm just kidding. I get all this advice about someone told me I need to hit the gym sometime yesterday. And you know what? I like cheeseburgers. I don't know. I'm not going to win any beauty contest, no GQ magazine action. I have no intention to do so. I hit the damn gym every day. You know what I mean? The internet's a wide place with a lot of opinions, just like assholes. Everybody's got one. And really, outside of opinions, this show, I like to base it about data. And the data is telling me that we are getting ready for 3-digit Chainlink. The data is telling me that we are going to be looking at $500+ Solana. The data is telling me $6 Cardano is in the cards. And the data suggests that Ethereum at $8,000 is not too crazy of a thing to look forward to. So this is a good time to be alive. I'm loving what the markets are doing right now. I'm liking the way that the markets look from a technical standpoint. They are looking absolutely delicious. Make sure that you are trading with us on LBank or Blowfin to get into our Discover Investments Group Discord. Before we do a major movement, I'm going to be doing a lot more, if not 100% of my live streams within the Discord there, and all of my focused produced content will still come out here on the Blockchain Basement. So make sure to get in that Discord, get us your user ID to get in those. They're going to be literally free. Just shift in focus to a community that I really want to see foster, and because we are coming up with tons of wins inside that Discord. And I love being able to hear from everyone on the value that we're bringing to you, the information we're giving you in terms of trading, in terms of spot holds on altcoins, all of it. I love and appreciate you guys. And I will be back tomorrow with another video. Hopefully these markets stay green, baby. Until next time.